Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly powerful, really poetic manifesto of change. We are diving into a piece called I Believe by Oluyomi Oladavid. It reads a lot like a poem, but honestly, it functions like an absolute blueprint for transformation. If you've ever felt completely boxed in by your circumstances, or if you just look at the world and wonder, how on earth are we going to fix these massive systemic issues? Well, this text is going to resonate so deeply with you. We're going to break down her exact words to see how she connects deeply personal empowerment straight to sweeping global transformation. Right off the bat, she hooks us into her macro vision for the world. Before we even get into the rhythmic poetry of her manifesto, she states her intent with crystal clarity. She isn't just writing nice-sounding verses here. She is fundamentally concerned with global development. It totally sets the stage for a profound philosophical journey, telling us right up front, keep your eyes on the big picture.
Part 1. The Visionary's Worldview. Let's look behind the words.
So the mind behind all of this is Oluyomi Oladavid, a Nigerian thinker who expressly states in her profile that she enjoys generating solutions, providing clarity, and influencing policy. She's not just sitting on the sidelines observing the world's problems, she's an active participant in solving them. When she writes to influence strategy and really provoke thought. Honestly, understanding her background as someone so deeply invested in policy and technical insights just gives a whole new layer of meaning to the poetic lines we're about to explore. And her worldview follows this brilliant progressive framework. Look at how this naturally steps up. She begins her biography simply, I love people. That's step 1. And from that foundational, deeply human love, she moves to step 2, which is generating solutions. And the ultimate result of those solutions? Step 3, global development and transformation. It perfectly shows how a foundational love for humanity scales all the way up to global impact. This framework is absolutely the lens through which we should read her manifesto. Moving on to part 2, overcoming limitations and really conquering those boundaries. The journey from limitation to liberation here is just so powerful. On one side, you have a perceived barrier, a stammerer, and on the other, the breakthrough, they can speak. Throughout her poem, Oladavid places this heavy rhythmic emphasis on the word can. It's an active, forceful rejection of impossibility. It's like she's literally commanding the limitation to step aside. The crucial point she's making is that perceived physical impossibilities are entirely shattered through the lens of unwavering belief. A cripple can walk. By using such stark, traditionally permanent physical states as her examples, she's really pushing us to completely redefine what is actually impossible. Think about it. If these profound physical boundaries can be overcome, what barrier is actually too big? And this theme elegantly extends right into our personal setbacks. A total reversal of misfortune is always within reach in her worldview. A loser can win, a debtor can pay, a lost thing can be found. We've all been there, right? We often let past failures or current deficits just totally define our future. But Oladavid fundamentally rejects this. She frames failure not as a permanent identity, but as a temporary state that is just waiting for its can moment. Which brings us to part 3, social injustices and reversing the status quo. She systematically dismantles systemic oppression line by line. A slave can see, a lowly one can be useful, a doormat can be free. She is granting immediate agency and undeniable worth to the marginalized. Society often assigns these permanent labels to people at the bottom of the hierarchy, treating them as doormats. But her manifesto insists on their inherent freedom and usefulness. She's essentially rewriting the social contract here, one single line at a time. Even the classic overlooked underdog is aggressively reframed here as possessing immense bullish potential to just disrupt the status quo. An underdog can be bullish. I absolutely love this line. To be bullish means to be aggressively optimistic, to push forward with real force. She doesn't just say the underdog can survive, she's saying the underdog can dominate and lead the charge. Part 4, finding hidden potential and unlocking that latent growth. These metaphors, drawn directly from her text, remind us that extraordinary, life-changing potential is literally everywhere, just waiting for the exact right conditions to bloom. A seed can bloom, a barren womb can be fruitful, a dwarf can climb. What seems small or hidden or unable to produce life is actually harboring explosive potential. She is basically training us to look at our surroundings, and frankly ourselves, not for what we currently lack, but for the latent growth just waiting to be unlocked. And finally, part 5, the ultimate goal, focusing on that macro level impact. Now, this is incredibly significant. The author deliberately tags this deeply personal poem with the hashtag SDG16. If you're not familiar, SDG16 stands for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16, which focuses on promoting peaceful and inclusive societies, providing access to justice for all, and building effective, accountable institutions. By using this tag, she is cementing the connection between these individual micro-transformations, the stammerer speaking, the doormat being free, and macro-level global policy goals. She's telling us loud and clear that true justice and strong institutions absolutely begin with empowering the individual. This really powerful standalone line is placed at the very end of her text. It serves as the spiritual anchor for all of the inspiring dualities we've just been exploring. After listing out all the incredible ways society and human limits can be overturned, she reveals the true source of this optimism. It's not just wishful thinking. For her, it's rooted in a profound spiritual conviction that absolute good is entirely possible. This quote comes directly from her personal biography, and it beautifully mirrors the conclusion of the poem we just looked at. It reveals that an unshakable faith is the ultimate engine, literally the very wheel within her wheels, driving this entire vision of change. For Oluyomi Oladevid, her love for people, her immense drive for policy solutions, and her unwavering belief that the impossible can be overcome are all powered by this central, foundational belief in a higher power orchestrating the universe. So I want you to really take this manifesto to heart. We've seen how Oluyomi Oladevid connects the blooming of a single tiny seed all the way to the achievement of global justice. She looks at the stammerer, the underdog, and the oppressed, and she boldly declares what they can do. So I'm going to leave you with this. When you look at the seemingly impossible barriers in your own life, or maybe the deep fractures in our society right now, what do you believe you have the power to break today?